The Somerton Man. On a cold morning in December 1948, a man was found dead on Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia. He was well dressed, in good physical shape, and had absolutely nothing on him that could say who he was. No wallet, no ID. Every tag on his clothes had been cut off. Weeks later, someone found a tiny scrap of paper hidden in a secret pocket sewn into his trousers. On it were two words torn from a rare book of Persian poetry. Tamam shud, meaning it is finished. Police eventually tracked down the actual book it came from, and inside the back cover was a string of letters that looked like a coded message. That code has never been fully cracked. DNA testing decades later suggested a possible identity, but officially, the case is still listed as unsolved. Isdal Woman. In November 1970, hikers in Norway found a badly burned body in a valley called Isdal Woman, the Valley of Ice. The woman had no identification, but what she did have was strange. Multiple passports, all under different fake names. Investigators found she'd checked into hotels across Europe using at least 9 aliases, always paying in cash, always covering her tracks. Some believe she was a spy, caught in the middle of Cold War tensions. To this day, nobody knows her real name. The Man from Taured. This next one sits right on the edge between real mystery and internet legend, but is too strange not to include. According to the story, sometime in the 1950s or 60s, a European businessman landed at Tokyo's airport and handed over his passport like any other traveler. The problem was the country on his passport. Taured didn't exist. Not a typo, not an old name for somewhere else, as far as anyone could tell. It had simply never been a real nation. He reportedly insisted Taured had existed for centuries, sitting right between France and Spain, and got visibly confused when officials told him no such country was on any map. He was held overnight in a hotel room while authorities figured out what to do with him. By morning, he was gone, along with his passport and every document proving he'd ever been there. Investigators have never found any record confirming this actually happened, and most researchers now treat it as an urban legend rather than a documented case. Boy in the box. In February 1957, a man walking through the woods near Philadelphia found a cardboard box. Inside was the body of a young boy, roughly 4 to 6 years old, wrapped in a blanket. He had no name, no missing persons report matched him, and despite one of the largest investigations in Philadelphia's history, nobody could identify him. For decades, he was simply called America's unknown child. It wasn't until 2022, 65 years later, that DNA technology finally gave him back his name. But by then, everyone who might have known what really happened to him was long gone. The Green Children of Woolpit. This one goes all the way back to medieval England, sometime in the 12th century. According to old chronicles, villagers in Woolpit found 2 children wandering near a wolf pit, a boy and a girl, both with skin described as distinctly green. They spoke a language nobody recognized and refused to eat anything except raw beans. The boy died shortly after, but the girl reportedly survived, learned English, and eventually said they came from a strange underground land where the sun never fully rose. Historians debate whether this is a real event with a logical explanation or simply a folk legend that grew over time. Kaspar Hauser. In 1828, a teenage boy appeared in the German town of Nuremberg, barely able to speak or walk properly. He carried a letter claiming he'd spent his entire life locked alone in a small dark cell, with no human contact at all. Kaspar slowly learned to communicate and became something of a local sensation, with people fascinated by this child of Europe who seemingly had no past. But the mystery took a dark turn. Years later, he was found stabbed, claiming a stranger had attacked him. He died from the wound. Some historians think he made the whole story up. Others believe he was hiding a royal secret worth killing for. Benjaman Kyle. In 2004, a man was found unconscious and badly injured behind a fast food restaurant in Georgia, USA. When he woke up, he had no memory of who he was, where he came from, or how he got there. Doctors gave him the temporary name Benjaman Kyle. He spent the next decade trying to piece his life back together, appearing on national television, submitting his DNA and fingerprints to databases, hoping someone somewhere would recognize him. In 2015, DNA finally connected him to a nephew, and his real identity was uncovered. But even after learning his name, Benjaman said he still had no memories of his past life at all. The Zodiac Killer. Starting in the late 1960s, someone calling himself the Zodiac murdered several people in Northern California and taunted police and newspapers with a string of letters and ciphers, some of which weren't cracked until decades later. He promised more killings, gave himself a dramatic nickname, and then seemingly just stopped. No confirmed arrest was ever made. Despite countless suspects, documentaries, and amateur investigators dedicating their lives to cracking his identity, the Zodiac Killer walked out of history exactly the way he walked in, as a complete unknown. Thanks for watching. If you liked this one, smash that like button and subscribe for more. See you next time.